What is going on, everybody? We have a very special video for you today. We wanted to highlight one team with a very, very special player on it, and we wanted to dive into that. But first, Caleb, how you living, my man?
I'm doing great. Figured I'd get into the occasion, so I pulled out my old Kendrick Perkins throwback Thunders jersey. If you don't know, obviously we're talking about the Thunder today, and I'm ready to get into it. I love what I've been seeing.
I was about to say, if you haven't figured out already, I got my Shea jersey on backwards so everybody knows who we're talking about today. It's Shea Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder. To start, I kind of wanted to just hand this to Caleb. Caleb, this is one of your favorite players in the NBA. You talk about him at nauseum sometimes in our
Hmm.
group chat,
Yeah.
in our videos. Like you're always on the Shea train. And outside of his just incredibly good looks, what have you seen from Shea on the basketball floor?
I mean, we can get into the stats, which we will here soon, but just pure dominance from every area of the floor. Not only offensively, when it comes to scoring, he sets up his guys really well. He picks and chooses his spots. When the ball's in his hands, the game is under his control. I've seen his game take a new elevation. You know, he's not relying on a 3-point shot, which is crazy to think about in today's NBA. His mid-range game is phenomenal. He'll get you to a spot. He'll either raise up immediately or he'll pump fake and find his way around you to score. When he gets to the rim, he can finish around the rim with ease. With either hand, he's in his bag pretty much at any point. But also defensively, you don't think of him as like a defensive player or anything like that. But as we'll get into, I mean, defensively, he's holding up his fair share of weight down there. So, I just one top two right now for me to watch every night he's on the floor.
Yeah, he is much watch basketball, and he is making this Thunder team almost must watch
Yeah,
basketball. I mean, almost. I wanted to sprinkle that in there. Almost must watch.
yeah,
If they had Chet Holmgren, I think they would really be pushing for some playoff notice, some playoff, maybe a play-in spot.
yeah.
But just as the team, just wanted to dive into this real quick. They've played in. Let me do math real quick. 16 games.
I
Is that right?
believe.
15 games. They played in 15 games as we are recording this. They have scored at least 32 or more points in a quarter in every single game except for one. How absurd is that? This team, and I kind of highlighted this in our daily, I've been talking about it a lot with you guys in our group chat, just the games that I'm watching. The way this team is able just to pull games out of the fire. I kind of hinted at it in our daily show. It's not a long-term solution to their problems or to how their rise to success over time, how they're able to do this, but they'll get down 15, 17, 20 points almost at ease in most games that they play in. But then
Mhm.
you blink and it's towards the end of the third quarter or the middle of the fourth, and all of a sudden those pesky Thunder start to turn a corner and
It's
start to get.
insane because they don't have a real big man either. Like Mike Muscala is probably their like legitimate big man, and
And they don't really have like a sniper either. Like, I mean,
no
like they don't have like a knockdown shooter. Like it's like Giddy, Lou Dort, Shea. Like they just have a
Aaron
way.
Wiggins. Like
Yeah,
who?
Aaron
Come on,
Wiggins,
man.
Trey Mann is
Yeah,
sprinkled in there. I mean, they had one dude last night that walked out there, looked probably 6'1", a buck 50, and had his hair
yeah.
pulled up in a
Lindy
little
Waters.
bun, had a
Yeah,
and was just able to play. Like
yeah.
they just pulled dudes off their pine that are just look like scrubs, to be completely honest. And they're out there in big moments, big spots, making big plays. And just the way that Shea, kind of like you saying, can just elevate these guys around him. Over the last 4 or 5 games, the Thunder have played teams like the Bucks, the Raptors, the Knicks, the Celtics, and then the Wizards last night. And every game has been within 4 points if they didn't win. So they're
Mhm.
3-2 in those 5 games. They lost two by a combined 8 points, one in double overtime, and then the one in TD Garden against what you proclaim to be the best team in the NBA in the Boston Celtics.
Right.
I mean, what are you like? Can you dive into kind of Shea's numbers, what he's been doing
Yeah.
to
So before I hit specifically on Shea, one thing. So there's this video idea I've been debating on. It's like a weekly NBA vibe check where you look into certain teams and see how the vibes are.
Mhm.
And the reason I wanted to get into it is a team like this Thunder team, their vibes are immaculate.
Yeah.
I mean, I love their coach, Mark Dagnall. Seems to really have all these guys bought in. And with a young team, I think it's really important that like you have a guy that you can rely on. If not, you're in like a Houston Rockets type situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, this is Shai's 5th year. He's only 24, so it's like he's still young, but like the experience that he's had playing alongside a guy like Chris Paul for a couple years, playing in LA of the big lights for a year, it's really shown that all around these guys have bought into him and he's able to lead them. Now for him, we'll get into it. He's averaging right now 31.5 points, 4.4 rebounds, and 5.3 assists. On top of that, he's averaging 1.5 blocks and 2.1 steals a game. So defensively, like I said, able to get into it. Right now, he's averaging more points per game than Jason Tatum, Giannis, and Kevin Durant. More steals per game than Drew Holiday, Jimmy Butler, or Lou Dort, all guys known for their defense.
Mm-hmm.
And more blocks per game than Clint Capella, Jared Allen, and Giannis. So we'll try to take this before we all get way too excited. We'll try to take this down a little bit. I do think you expect obviously the blocks to cool off. The steals potentially could cool off as well. But offensively, I mean, 31 points per game. I could see him keeping that kind of pace up. His last 10 games, we'll get into it here, Troy. 38, 6 and 9. 34, 4 and 6, 37, 4 and 3, 18, 1 and 3, 33, 7, 5, 39, 4 and 4, 23 and 4, 37, 5 and 8, 37, 4 and 8, 42, 6 and 7. I mean, it's unreal. A guy that I feel like a lot of people, when it's first getting going, everybody was kind of like, okay, whatever. It's Oklahoma City. He's the only competent guy out there, whatever.
Yeah.
This is a guy that can put a franchise on his back and wants that pressure. He like offensively, he's just on another world. And I think right now, every time I've tuned in, a lot of their offense is spread out and let him go to work. And that's the best offense they have right now.
Yeah.
Because there's nobody that can stay in front of him. And if you stay in front of him, he's going to take you to the mid range and pull up, or he's going to take you to the rim and fake you out like 3 times and get an and one. So it's insane. Just the aspect of they're all okay with just letting him go, and he's doing it. Like, I mean, he's answering.
So you're kind of answering the question of, can Shai be the guy to lead this Thunder team?
Oh, absolutely. So I think in order to make noise in the NBA, you need ideally you need a top 15 guy. And as of right now, Shai's no doubt a top 15 guy. I think the argument begins with, is Shai a top 10 guy?
Yeah.
And I think that's a legitimate argument.
Yeah, it's very interesting whenever you start really diving into top 10 players in the NBA. Because I think the questions, it's not about the Giannis and the Lukas and the Embiids and the Jokic's. Like, those 4 pretty well set. Steph
Probably
Curry's
Tatum,
up there.
Steph and Tatum, I think.
Steph and Tatum, that's 6. That's 6 right there. So then you have 7 through 10 that it becomes a pretty interesting conversation at the very least. You start getting into, I don't even know, like, is Ja a top 10 player? Because then you're looking at Ja and Shai side by side. Who would you want?
It's interesting. I think
That's where the conversation starts.
I think Shai makes his teammates better more than Ja does. Ja's exciting. Ja's explosive. Shai can attack and score in so many different outcomes, but can also facilitate on the offensive and defensive end in several different ways.
So I think then there's also Kevin Durant, who you could have a conversation about.
Yeah.
LeBron James. Like,
right now, he's better than LeBron.
That's where the conversation starts to roll, because then you really got to start digging. Like, everybody acts like, oh, top 10 in the NBA, no way. But then you really start to sift through some people, and everybody just assumes James Harden, You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like,
Yeah.
exactly. I would take Shea over James.
The
I would.
argument for me, it's kind of an argument for like Ja. I'm willing to listen to him over Kevin Durant right now.
What about him over Devin Booker?
That's where I was going. Devin
Yeah.
Booker and Donovan Mitchell. That's where I'm like,
It
I
gets
that it's
really interesting. And another Kentucky kid that's also been playing well this year that I think is starting to spruce his name into some conversations is De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox and Shea. Like that is starting. Obviously, right now I'd probably take Shea just as an individual player. He's got more, levels to his game. But D Fox is starting to shoot the ball extremely well.
right. I think De'Aaron Fox is going to come up for me a little bit later with another question later, but I do think it's interesting. But even still, I'm more confident with Shea. Um, it's just insane to think about. But like Devin Booker, you could persuade me either way.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell, you could probably persuade me either way. I'm probably leaning Shea. But then again, like Donovan Mitchell is leading a good Cavs team, which I do think you have to take into consideration. I mean,
Yeah.
you could probably switch him out, and I think you could probably still get the same outcome. But I just think, right now you have to take what's given, and Devin Booker and Donovan Mitchell are leading way better teams. And that's not, any discredit to Shea, and that's not his fault.
Yeah.
But you've seen those two in winning situations. I think you have to edge it out there just slightly.
Yeah. And just like I was talking to a buddy today, and I shot him a message last night whenever I was watching the game. He works night shift, so he didn't get back to me till the morning. But I texted him. I said, "Is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander a top 10 player in the NBA?" And he was really quick to dismiss it. Like he was like, no, probably not." But I'm like, man, start kind of looking through some of these names. Like, yeah, you got your top 5 or 6 that are like shoe-ins, like however you want to rank them. I don't really care. But they're like shoe-ins. But then you get to that 7 to 10 range. And
And it gets very interesting.
it's like you have guys that I could talk myself into to be like, oh, I want Shea. The way he's playing
Mhm.
right now, like the way is this his ceiling to you, Caleb?
So this is why I said, so like a guy like De'Aaron Fox,
Yeah.
I think this might be like De'Aaron Fox's ceiling. He's
Hmm.
starting to get better. Not relying just on his athleticism. We're able
Mhm.
to see him shoot better. I don't
Yeah.
know if he can keep it up consistently shooting as well as he has right now. A guy like Shea, I think he can keep going.
Yeah.
Shea is 6'6". He has the size. He's only like 180 pounds right now.
Hmm.
Imagine him putting on some more muscle
Oh yeah.
and having a post game,
Yeah.
like being able to post up smaller guards. I think that's so, like, I mean, with like a Kobe-esque, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan-esque fadeaway, like the mid post.
Yeah.
I think that's scary because he has the size, he
Yeah.
has the mid range game, and he has the IQ with the footwork to be able to like Devin Booker's footwork when he posts up smaller guys or
Oh
posts
yeah.
up anybody. Like I think Shea could open his game up to that kind of point, and I would love to see it. I don't think we're seeing like Shea, like where Shea's at now. I don't think it's like a crazy, crazy leap, but I
Yeah.
think there is a leap there to where we can see him even be more of a threat offensively and defensively.
Well, anytime you're talking about a potential top 10 guy and you're talking about taking another leap, you're kind of like he's already leaping into the conversations, easily top 15, starting to get into top 10 territory.
Right. And if he takes another leap, it's like he's like a guaranteed top 3 finalist for MVP
It's
every
like
year. And I
you're
just
talking
don't
about
know. Yeah.
top 5 NBA player.
Yeah.
Like and he has that potential. Like you said, most of the great players that we've seen across our lifetime, across the NBA history, have been about 6'6" to 6'11",
Yeah.
right in that range.
Mhm.
If you're a small guy, it's hard to be one of the greatest of all times. Now you can be. Don't get me wrong. We're seeing Steph Curry do it, but it is extremely difficult, and you have to have a lot go your way. Like Steph just so happens to be the greatest shooter we've ever seen. Like you have to be that different as a smaller guy,
And I
right?
feel like, yeah. And I feel like with all those guys, they're just so good that they're just able to go out there and do whatever. Shea can control the game differently, in my
Yeah.
opinion. Like it's like Devin Booker does a solid job at it, in my opinion, in today's NBA.
Yeah.
Jason Tatum kind of gets sped up at points where I don't like necessarily. He'll take bad shots occasionally, too much ISO ball. Um, but like Shea, I mean, when he has the ball, he's able to read the floor and he's able to find what's open, find where he wants to go, and then read 3 different options off of it
Yeah.
right then and there. And I think that's what's going to separate him from these guys that he's in contention with, like a Donovan Mitchell, like those kind of guys. I think ultimately will separate him. Because I think,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Last year, people would have had this argument of like LaMelo or Shai,
Yeah.
and I think now I don't know if it's an argument right now.
It's not even a
Obviously, you
question
can't.
right
It's
now.
not fair because LaMelo's been injured, but like LaMelo at his healthiest, I I'm still leaning Shai.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
And I think that there's a difference from Shea and even some of the all-time greats that we've thrown out there. Now, granted, we're gonna calm down. We're not saying he's an
yeah.
all-time great. Okay. Like, well, we're just comparing him and what he could be, his ceiling. We're talking about a ceiling here.
Mhm.
When you look at him, like you said, 6'6", long, athletic, controls the game, feels the game extremely well. Like there's a there's a level to Kobe, Kevin Durant, Michael Jordan. What is the way they control the game? Their scoring ability, their knack to go get buckets. Like they can score against any of you at any given time at any. Shai's isn't really that. Shai can control the game with his scoring, but he also controls it by distributing, by seeing the game unfold, by not like he has such a cerebral approach. I know everybody loves comparing people's approach to Kobe, but when I watch that type of approach, it's such a calm approach that it reminds me a lot of Kobe. Kobe never really went out of his way to talk trash, to do those things. When the opportunity presented itself, he sure as heck did. But like his approach to the game was just so cerebral and almost like a killer mentality, like kill or be killed, eat or be eaten. That's kind of what I see with Shea. It's like
and
kill or be killed.
he has the confidence and the swagger. I think I mean,
He
he's
hit
out
that
there.
big shot last night. He looks at his bench. One more stop. One more stop. They got the stop, right? And then he's looking at his bench with that swag. Like it's like he knows the moments to celebrate with his guys, show them like I'm your guy, like I'm your best friend still. But in that moment, it was all about winning that game. I don't care what I just did. Anybody could have done what I just did. Hit a step back three. Congrats. We're all in the NBA. We can do that. But then afterwards, he's like, I just did that.
It's
Like,
just
I'm that guy.
utmost confidence in himself. He knows he's going to go out there and he's going to do his thing,
Yeah.
but he's willing to try to get his guys who he doesn't have the best supporting cast.
Yeah.
He might have one of the worst supporting casts in the NBA.
Yeah.
But
100%.
nonetheless, he's able to go out there and make his guys better. I think you switch him and John Morant around, it's a different story in Oklahoma City. I think if you switch him and LaMelo around, LaMelo might make his guys better, but I don't know if it contributes to winning as much as we've seen right now.
Yeah. Shea's scoring ability is just unbelievable compared to those guys, in my opinion.
And I think, we have to also shout out a guy like Poku. I think Poku's played pretty well.
Oh, yeah.
I like Jeremiah Robinson Earl. I like all these guys that are, they're playing better than you would have thought. But still, it's like it's this guy. It's Shai. It's all him.
Yeah. So another and another thing with them, really quickly before we switch gears. I watch a college football podcast, and they talk about the Michigan Wolverines, how they run the ball at such a high level. Like everybody knows, everybody in the country, when you play Michigan, you know that they're going to hand the football off, and everybody knows it, but it still can't be stopped. Everybody, when they play the Thunder, no. Okay. There's one guy on this team that is a top 15 NBA player. One guy. Everybody else, not close. Not even close individually. But there's one guy. Everybody knows it when you're going to play the Thunder. But somehow, some way, he just continues to be that guy. Now, granted, Shai's always had the approach, like at Kentucky, he was never supposed to be the guy. And then over time,
Quade Green was starting over him.
Exactly. He was a bench player. Over time, became a Kentucky almost star overnight. He had like a couple games where we were like, holy cow, this guy might be something. And then he boomed, right? Same thing. And in the Clippers, he was just another guy. Everybody was like, okay, he's expendable. We'll trade him along with 25 picks to go get Paul George, right? And now it's like, the Thunder kind of fleeced the Clippers. like the Thunder, and then he kind of just snuck up on people. And next thing you know, he's the next biggest star in the NBA. He's got the look, he's got the swag, he's got the game.
Yeah.
And I mean, do you think this is where I wanted to go now? Do you think there is a ceiling to Shai because he's on the Thunder, or can he elevate not only his own personal status, but the Thunder, or should he maybe want out so he can go pursue greatness?
I don't want to. I don't want him to be out selfishly because I like NBA being spread out. Not all
Yeah.
guys on one. I, I would stay. They have all these pieces. They have all these picks to bring in another guy for you. And I don't think it's out of the question. I do think it won't be this year, just because I don't know who it would be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it and who it would be. But I think they're going to want to keep this guy, and they're going to do whatever it takes to make him happy. And
Mm-hmm.
I think after this year, this season, I think we really see them try to bring some guys in to really make some noise with Shai, with Josh Giddey, with Chet Holmgren, all these guys. I think I would stay. I would stay, and I think this is the best place for you. You go anywhere else, you're going to be alongside another guy who's going to need the ball. Where as of right now, everybody's so willing to play off ball for Shai.
Yeah,
Stay.
I think
This
too
is
the
the place.
Thunder learned their lesson
Mm-hmm.
from the era of the jersey you are wearing, like
Mm-hmm.
with Russ, KD, and James Harden. I think they learned that we had something special, a young core that bought in together, played together, had fun together. Like
Yeah.
this is another potential young core forming that just love playing together. Like we saw it in the summer league whenever Chet was healthy. Him and Josh Giddey's relationship was fantastic. They did all their interviews together. Josh Giddey did nothing but praise Chet. Chet did nothing but praise Josh. And it's like you add in Shai, who is extremely likable. It seems all the guys love him. So it's like what like I think they learned, and I don't think they're gonna even if he I don't think he even wants out. I think anybody that says he wants out is ignorant and doesn't really watch. Like I think
Mm-hmm.
he loves this team, this city, this mold that they have, the young, fun, exciting bunch, because they're brewing something, man, with their development, the way they're able to hang on to guys. They're signing guys long term, planning ahead, like on cheap, affordable contracts. They're doing it right.
Like literally my mindset before the season started was, can we, if this is going to be the last year, if this is going to be another year of the tank, get Shai out. And it's, I mean, up to this point, it's not.
Yeah,
And they cannot go back to the obvious tanking. They just can't do it because
I
you've got a
agree.
guy that has league attention now. And this is good for the game. It's good for their organization. And ultimately, I think it's really good for him because we have the utmost confidence in you. Just continue to go out there and be yourself.
I completely agree. Is there anything else you want to say on this topic, on Shai, on the Thunder? Because we've covered some great stuff about this
Quickly, I'll
team.
say he better be in the All-Star game.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be interesting because you got Luca, Dame, or not. You got Luca, Steph, Devin Booker, probably John Morant, and like a guy like they'd probably give the nod to Dame because he's been there for years and the Trailblazers will
Chris
be really
Paul.
good potentially. So I do think
Exactly.
there's a question that he might not make it, but he better make it. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, Shai, here's one thing. If you're watching this, you'll have my vote, buddy. And I promise us at the X Factor will beat this drum that you are a potential and probably a top 10 NBA player.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm ready to admit it.
Yeah, I'm in. He's top 10.
We're in, Shai. You best believe it. Fly us down to OKC, buddy. We'd love to see you play.
Yep.
So you're good?
I'm good. I can't wait
Hey,
to
we
watch
hope
him
you
again.
guys enjoyed this Thunder-based video. Who would have thought that we'd be this deep or deeper into the season, 15 games, and be talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder? As always, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell us what you think on Shai and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Should Shai one out? Or do the Thunder have a ceiling? Or is Shai just that special where he can lead them out of the fire just like he does in most of their games and lead them to the promised land? Hey, we appreciate you guys so much. As always, peace out.